Hey everybody, welcome. It's Saturday. It's Sunday morning and I'm having challenges getting in. So I'm just looking to see if anybody can hear me. If you could respond in the chat. Hi, numerous nomen. Can you, so I'm here. I'm back in. Everything is good. Hi. Welcome, Stephen. Okay, so we had a little moment. Thanks. I don't know what happened. I went into some sort of loop and trying to go live and yeah. All right, so here we go, guys. This week's number, for those of you who are new to my show, good morning. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, and I'm here every week on Lada's channel to give you messages from the angels to help you traverse through this week's transits. So, and in addition to that, we play a little game every week where you get to pick a number between 2 and 500 and try to win a free half-hour reading with me. This week's number was 19, and it's unfortunate to say we did not have a winner. I did not see a winner. If indeed you saw a winner, let me know. I'm looking for a winner. Also, I wanted to talk about this week's totem. This week's animal totem is going to be horse. And I was really driven to pick horse, I believe by spirit, because horse represents freedom and travel. And it was through man's relationship with the horse that we were able to connect with one another. Up until that point, for us to be able to travel was much more challenging. So in addition to the ideas that horse represents our intuitions, it doesn't follow fear. I say that every week. It's also this week I think about really looking in new directions and where we want to go, and taking that and using the dynamics of horse to plow through whatever is not serving us. And also I want to bring up the idea of the stallion. The stallion is always representative of great power, great in some ways, it represents sexuality. You know, the stallion, we think of a strong man, a strong, and Sagittarius. So I want to offer that up, that freedoms in expressing yourself in your sexual bodies, freedom in expressing yourself in your travel bodies, and the powers that you want to experience here on this earth. Okay, so those are our totems, and now we'll go straight into our readings. Good morning, Bonnie. I'll tell you, I have a little bit of a moment when I can't get on to YouTube and see you guys and I can't tell you what's going on. I have a little moment. My Saturn in the 10th house has a but we're here now and it's all good. So we're going to do our normal backwards is forwards here in Teri's world. So we're going to start with our Pisces rising. Okay. I'm excited about Saturn turning direct. I'm excited that Venus and Mercury have joined in Libra. So that's fun. They're at 1 and 2 degrees right now. So we're going to get a nice couple of months with enjoying that. So my Librans, my Tauruses, you want to get a haircut, do beauty things. That's always good to do when Venus is in her natural sign. All right. Pisces, our first card, first angel is Crystal. Our second is Merlina. Our third is Serena. And the final is Archangel Gabriel. Okay. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Heidi. Good morning, Dishak. Good morning, everybody. Small Wildflowers, Milidoma. Okay. I want to say this about the Saturn. While it's nice that Saturn is going direct, it's heading straight towards Pluto. We're going to start to feel that transit more and more as we move forward. And then there's going to be some trines between Pluto and Mars coming up in the next week or so that could get us a little bit intentional about some certain things. So just be mindful as you're going through the week that while it's nice that Saturn is finally moving forward and going to move, off of this Pluto dynamic, it's still going to be a while before that happens. Okay, Pisces, joining Crystal is the wind fairy. Joining Merlina is the cow. Joining Serena is the stag. And joining Archangel Gabriel is the dog. This is lovely. Okay, Pisces rising, Pisces moon, Pisces sun, Pisces stelliums. First angel is Crystal. Crystal is saying have faith and hope because there's more on the horizon that you can't see. And then we have the wind fairy. The wind fairy is in this respect, Is it getting in your way? Okay. She's making you overanalyze, overthink things. And when you're overthinking things, we tend as humans to go down the hardest path. We don't overthink the great path. We overthink the challenges, the obstacles, the disruption. So I want to offer you this. This is really kind of a time when it isn't just about having faith. It's about faith and intention at the same time, because that intention is going to set a tone for spirit. Because I have Mercury Pisces, this is going to be a week where you sit in the unknown, where you're unsure of what's going on. And what you're going to have to do is trust that God and the angels are here. This is what the cow is about: abundance. It's about nourishment. It's about giving and receiving, and asking and receiving, and doing so. That is asking spirit and waiting to receive from spirit, because here's Serena saying, the angel of abundance is saying that God is in charge of whatever resources you need. And now is a time to stand in leadership, your faith in leadership, not in leadership of others, the leadership within yourself. That faith is a momentum. It is a declaration to spirit, and in doing so, you can alleviate your insecurities and start to feel more love in your life. Archangel Gabriel is about turning over whatever insecurities you have, and then we have the dog, which is about unconditional love, loyalty, and sincerity. So, let's say this, my Pisces. Let's say that you're concentrating on your love body. As we get into fall, we like to cozy up and drink, warm drinks and wear cozy sweaters. And we like to cozy up to the ones that we love. And if we don't have someone to love, we can get a little, I don't know, it could be a little bit on the sad side. So what I think Spirit is saying is this is a week of having faith, that knowing that you've actually been putting all the energy that you need to into Spirit, and now God is in charge of how whatever you need will happen. And when I say need, I mean in the way of emotional body, your intimate body, and having faith that whatever relationship challenges you may be having, or whatever desert you may be walking through, it's really more now about going, okay, I have to walk. Everybody walks through a desert before they get out into, God, how do I want to put this? Because not every desert leads to an ocean. But I'm just trying to say that if this is indeed about your love bodies, everybody, then this is knowing that not every person that you are with is going to be the right person. There's more not right people than there are right people. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so it's raining. Oh, yay, small wildflowers. The fall is there. Thank you, Stacy. I got a little excited. I have a few Halloween decorations already up. I don't know what's come over me. I'm just excited about this coming season. All right, we're going to move on to our Aquariuses. Yes, numerous novum. It means that Saturn is going to start to go direct, and the retrograde period is over. We do have the storm period when it's slowing down now. It's getting ready to move forward, and as it moves forward, it's going to move towards Pluto, and it's going to get closer and closer, and that conjunction is going to shake things up a little bit. But it's like cleaning a rug. You got to shake out the dust. Okay. Whoops. All right. Yes, Michael, we pass through lessons. We're revisiting certain dynamics, and in many ways, those are opportunities to revisit those dynamics and be more intentional about how we want to walk through them. During the beginning of this year, I had some challenges that really caught me off guard, and I found myself reacting. And now the dynamics are coming into play again, and I'm feeling myself more aware of my reactions so that I can be more intentional and not get myself stressed out. That's what I want to say. Okay, let's go on to our Aquarius. Hello, Tampa. It's funny here in Laguna. It's been cool, but then it seems to get really hot and sort of muggy feeling. And muggy, when I say muggy, it's like hot breath breathing on you. Yuck. It was much cooler during the summertime this year, which is funny. Okay, here we go. On to Aquarius rising. Aquarius moon, Aquarius sun, Aquarius stelliums. Our first angel is Teresa, the second is Oceana, the third is Vanessa, and the final is Celeste. Okay. Okay. Joining Teresa is the cat. Joining Oceana is the letting go card. Joining Vanessa is the spider. And joining Celeste is the trust card. Okay. So Teresa talks about taking care of people, over taking care of people, not taking care of yourself as much. She also is a card of worry for me. She's a card that says that I'm just really worn down by the circumstances that are going on, and I'm having a little trouble finding my vision of what's for me. Teresa's really about putting a lot of energy out for others. And then I have the cat, which is about healthy boundaries and independence. I want to say for me, this feels like for Aquarius, in some respects, this might be a week of really deciding what works for you and where you may be over delivering for others. And when I say that, I think this has to do with your professional careers, your work body, your professional body, because Oceana is saying to take action, to lovingly assert yourself into your truth. And then I have the letting go card. And the letting go card for me is never about letting something go. It's actually about it. I always refer to it as Elsa from the movie Frozen going up that mountain in the song Let It Go. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits, to break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. The cat. Teresa. This is about Aquarius. Uranus rules you. Independence and freedom. This is about you expressing that and knowing or having faith that if you do indeed express it, as Vanessa in the Angel's Advice asks you, that everything you want will still stay in place. For me, the spider is the card where the fly goes into the web, it does not come out. So to me, this is a card of connectedness. It's a card of things sticking. So, and then here we have Celeste, which talks about a new home or a new place of employment, and the trust card. And I sort of feel like this is really more about the professional body again, and being independent in thinking about what's good for me in this. Most people go to work and they spend 8 hours, 10 hours a day at work. And by the time they get home, they're exhausted. You eat, you sleep, you go back to work. I think what Spirit is asking for Aquarius this week, and is very akin to what our animal totem is this week, the horse, about potentially going in new directions that speak to a more authentic dynamic to what you want for yourself. And if you're in the right industry, or you enjoy your job, or you like the people you work with, maybe this is more about really thinking about the next move forward, the next step. Like, rather than being burdened, where do I want to take this platform and move from there? And then allowing yourself the privilege of expressing that. So we are on Aquarius rising. Teri goes backwards because backwards is the new forwards for me. So I start at Pisces and I end at Aries. So I'm going on now to my Capricorns. Thank you, Jay. It's a dress. It's really a nice long little dress, and it's super comfortable. Okay. I go backwards. I started this during the last Mercury retrograde, and I just sort of stuck with it because everybody goes forward. So I thought Pisces and Aquarius and Capricorn would like to be first every once in a while. Okay. All right, here we go. Capricorn rising, Capricorn moon, Capricorn sun, and stelliums. I want to put a little footnote on the whole Aquarius idea. That independent thinking to me is also sometimes, if indeed Aquarius was looking to to endeavor something different. Let's say your job is draining you. Let's say your job was you're working 40 hours a week, you're pushing someone else's story forward, and your story is going nowhere. Then Spirit is asking you to think independently about whether or not that's really where you want to be. And if indeed it is not, then it's time to lovingly assert yourself. Okay, now I'm going to go on to Capricorn. Okay, our first angel is Chantal. Our second is Bethany. The third is Caressa. And the final is Desiree. Okay. And I say that to pay attention to the stelliums because when you have a concentrated energy of planets there, that's influential in your chart. I think it's something to pay attention to. All right. Joining Chantal, we have the bee. Joining Bethany, we have the cat. Joining Caressa, we have the eagle. And joining Desiree, we have the horse. Okay. So Chantal is the card of romance. She talks about a new romance is imminent or the resurgence of a current romance. And then we have the bee card. This is awesome, guys. This is about your being energy. It's about your love body. And I want to say this because while this is a very wonderful energy, I want to say this, we do have a little bit of a challenge in our fourth position because we have Desiree saying conditions are not necessarily favorable right now. And then I have the horse. The horse, again, we talked about it earlier. The horse is an intuitive card. The horse doesn't follow fear. But this week's horse totem is about carving new directions in love for Capricorn. That's what I think this is about. And I want to say it this way, because what I feel like for Capricorn, if I'm going to be really just dig deep, is I wonder if Capricorn truly is taking care of themselves in a relationship or if they are indeed being dutiful in some ways. You know, you're ruled by Saturn. Saturn's been talking to you people, Capricorn, for 2.5 years, moving all over the place through Capricorn, messing with us. So I feel like this is an opportunity for Capricorn to actually step into a more warm and fuzzy, loving place for themselves. You know, rather than being in your head, being more in your heart chakra. So this is how you'll take care of yourself, by having independent thought. I really feel like that's what this is about, because Caressa is saying that you're at the end of you're at the end of a chapter in your life. And then the eagle talks about the connection to spirit. I'm going to go right back to your love life again. The end of a life cycle does not necessarily mean the end of a relationship. It could be the end of a stagnation. That's a little bit what Saturn's about, stagnation. Things kind of slow down, they stop, they get dry. So as you step into new directions that you may be unfamiliar with, because it's not about hearts and flowers and throwing rose petals on a bed. It's more about emoting from the heart chakra, speaking from a deeper place, a deeper truth, and what you really want. I find it's been interesting. The last couple of weeks, I've had a couple of readings with some people who came in and they asked me about their career. And the minute I looked at the cards, Spirit was saying they didn't want a career to be a huge professional. What they wanted was to connect with a partner, to create a family, to be a parent. And that was the career they wanted. And I feel like that's a really noble, amazing career, to want to bring actual people into this world that are balanced and feel loved. That's not been the norm. We've got a lot of challenges within our family bodies. So this is where I'm going with Capricorn. I feel like when you get real with how you really want to feel, I'd like to be in a loving relationship if I'm not now. I'd like to not only feel love, I'd like to be love and emote love. And now is a time to really look at how you're going about that. I feel like this is about Desiree, is about being too much in your head somehow, and getting out of your head and getting more into that silly place that doesn't make sense. You know, intimacy, love, body, but they're not logical places within the human experience. So that's where I'm going. I'm talking about Capricorn. I'm talking about Capricorn rising. I'm talking about your love bodies. I'm talking about whether you're single, in a relationship or in a seasoned relationship, I feel like now Spirit is offering you an opportunity to be the partner that you would like to receive. And if indeed you are not in a relationship, then being a hopeful, faithful recipient of love is going to start to get the wheels turning. Okay, that's where I'm going. Good morning, Martina. Good morning, JP. Good morning, Shelly. Good morning, Crystal. Good morning, Janet. Okay, there you got everybody. Okay, let's go on to our Sagittarius. What I'm doing here. I have not had any tea this morning, and I could definitely use some. Okay. Yeah, I'm on the right side. Okay. All right. Here we go, Sagittarius. Stephen, are you not paying attention in class? Oh, well, good afternoon, Janet. I had trouble with my computer this morning too. I don't know what's been going on. The power went out like, I don't know, a whole bunch of times yesterday. It was crazy. Okay, so here we go. Our first angel for Sagittarius is Aurora. The second is Archangel Raphael. The third is Yvonne. And the final is Archangel Michael. Okay. We are on Sagittarius rising now and moving towards Aries, everybody. Okay. Joining Aurora is the Earth Fairy. Joining Archangel Raphael is the Partnership card. Joining Yvonne is the Hawk. And joining Archangel Michael is the Bear. Okay. So Aurora says you're flying high right now, which may threaten others, but don't descend because they will soon be inspired by your example. This, to me, for Sagittarius, is really about setting a new foundation for what it is that you want, what it is you want to experience, what it is you want to learn, all things ninth house, where you want to travel. And, people may not understand why you're doing what you're doing. People may think that's not practical. People may be saying, what are you doing? You need to get yourself settled down. Our whole animal totem was about horse, and not just horse being intuitive, but horse traveling, horse plowing new roads, new fields. Because I feel like for my Sagittarius, this is what you want, is to have the courage. And I'm going to go to the final position, which is what Archangel Michael asks you to have courage to make the life changes that you want. And then the Bear is about my story, my history. So sometimes when we are forging a new road, we worry that the old road will somehow be forgotten or it'll go away. It doesn't have to do that. I feel like there's the potential for Sagittarius as you venture into new directions, new dynamics, that there are some people that may be nervous around you. I have the Partnership card and I have Archangel Raphael in the opportunity or the obstacle. Obviously, partnership is connection with others. And then there's a healing. This is a physical healing that Archangel Raphael normally represents. But with here, I feel like there's an opportunity for the relationships around you, your friends, your family, your other coworkers, people that you spend time with, it feels like they could potentially be put on some sort of alert because of the way you're thinking, the way you're shifting, the way you're changing. But I feel like it's time to be vulnerable to the bigger picture of what you want, because doing that, that's where Aurora steps back in. And she says, you will not just inspire others, you will help transcend them. I believe that this is a time, especially with this crazy Pluto, Saturn, and everybody else conjunction, of bubbling up whatever is not working for us, whatever is not true to our creative, unique expression. And it's bubbling it up so we can transform it. Some people will get scared and they'll be, no, I want to stay in the old ways, because they feel like the old ways have to go out for new ways to come in. But I think it's about integration. I think it's about not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, which is what I think Archangel Michael is saying. This is what I feel for Sagittarius. So As you enjoy the last few months of having Jupiter in its natural sign, allow yourself the idea of expanding your viewpoint, expanding the roads that you travel, and knowing that as you do that, you don't have to leave everybody behind. You can inspire them to join. I guess is the way I want to say it. And it doesn't mean join you on your path. It's more of a way of thinking. It's a way of walking through a belief. That's what I think. Okay. All right. On we go. You know, Stacy, when we go through these huge periods of time of transformation, um, they're almost always preceded by a disruption of some kind, by something that has to apparently break away. And I myself have gone through some, I lost every single thing I own, everything but a suitcase of bathing suits and my two cats. Excuse me. And while it was challenging and it was embarrassing, to be honest with you, a lot of people in my world looked at me like I had made some pretty crazy choices. And in making those choices, I got what I deserved. But on the flip side of that, in the clearing, after everything cleared away, and I had hit such a sort of rock bottom that there was like no way to go but up. And I was only going to claim myself. And as I claimed myself and I became braver, Archangel Michael literally stood beside me, encouraging me. And as you do that, you will find that, yeah, some of it may be a little bit sketchy at first, but then as you connect with spirit, you can feel their energies supporting you and insulating you from some of the more sketchy parts of it. That's how I want to put it. Okay, let's go on to our Scorpios. If you really think about it, very little happens when we're content. Very little growth happens when we're content. And so if we embrace the idea that disruption or an interruption is actually a loving act, then it makes it easier to maneuver through those moguls. As far as the number 8 goes, I've always associated the number 8 with the Chinese version of prosperity. So I've always thought of 8 as a highly prosperous number. And I want to say this too. When you guys see number sequences, oh, and we have 88 people watching right now, so that's pretty cool. But 89. So I want to say this. When you see number sequences, it's great to know that there are certain structures attached to those number sequences, like ones are always talking about our thought. Seeing 1, 2, 3, things are in order. Things are happening sequentially the way they're meant to happen. But also allow yourself to, if a number has a significance to you that is not what others have written, allow that significance to be your first go-to, because Spirit's going to use what's most resonates within your heart. So I think I've told you guys before, when I'm intuiting something and I see a green apple, I think an apple a day keeps the doctor away. When I see a red apple in my mind's eye, I think of a school teacher. So as you play with the various hues of the numbers, Spirit will use the numbers to trigger your personal thoughts. So oftentimes our birthdays are personal numbers. So when I see a 17, which equals an 8, I always get kind of excited. I'm born on the 17th. So there we go. So let's go on to our Scorpios now. Here we go. And if you guys are putting numbers in the chat for the game, let me know, because I wouldn't consider the 9 plus 8 is 17 equals 8 as a number for the game. So remember, every week you have a chance to win a free half-hour reading with me. You have 1 week to claim your prize. This week our number was 19. Unfortunately, nobody won. Hopefully we had a winner 2 weeks in a row. It's pretty exciting, but okay. So here we go on to Scorpio. Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, moon, and stelliums. All right. Our first angel is Layla. Our second is Rosetta. Our third is Sonia. And the final is Francesca. Okay, here we go. Joining Layla is the focus card. Joining Rosetta is the frog. Joining Sonia is the joy card. And joining Francesca is the partnership card. Wow. I just feel like love is in the air. Okay, so we have Layla is my walking meditation, guys. For me, it's paying attention to nature. It's paying attention to the elements of the earth that God and the angels can use to communicate with me. So it was funny the other day, out of nowhere, the wind kicked up for like 20 minutes and it felt like a scene from Mary Poppins. Remember when Mary goes to, right before she goes to interview at the Banks home for the nannying job, there's a whole line of nannies outside and then the wind kicks up and they all blow away. That's exactly what I thought. Somehow when the wind kicked up, I thought something's happening where Spirit's moving things out so that I can float in. I know it sounds crazy, but this is what Layla is for me. Pay attention to the elements of nature. If a star catches your eye at night, pay attention. Say to yourself in your head, what do you want me to know, Spirit? What are you trying to tell me? Because Spirit is wanting you to focus in on them right now, really looking and seeing what is it that Spirit is trying to say to me. Because, and I'm going to say it this way, I'm going to go to the fourth position. I have the partnership card and I have Francesca saying, what do you visualize right now to focus on that? Because focusing on the challenge is going to block whatever you're trying to manifest. So here's where I'm going with this. I feel like this week there is, for Scorpio, that the connection to Spirit is where you're going to find, okay, getting a little excited here. The connection to Spirit is where you're going to find the greatest support for what it is that you're moving forward on. Because in the opportunity of the obstacle, I have the frog, which is an emotional cleanup card, and I have Rosetta, the child card. This is about parenting, teaching. It's about energies with children. And then I have Sonia and the joy card. So let me see if I can make this so much clearer for you. For Scorpio, this week is about connecting with Spirit, with the deepest desires of what you want from a childlike perspective, where there are no bars on the doors, where there are no blocks. And to connect with Spirit is going to be where you find your greatest joy as they show you that they are in partnership with you. And your job, Scorpio, is not to get too Plutonian this week or ever, actually, and to use the Pluto energy to say, what's the flip side of the bad news? What's the flip side of the crappy stuff? Because this is really about, okay, you guys just distracted me with the I was born an old fart. Okay. This is really about, I think there are things that Scorpio really, really wants. And I want to say this too, because we just had this full moon a few days ago, harvest full moon, right? And I have a particular person who received some very good news and things are starting to happen. And I feel like for my Scorpios, your greatest joy will come from connecting with Spirit in the moments of, you're at a fork in the road. There's not necessarily, there might be crumbs on the road, so you can see a little bit of the manifestation, but it may not be complete. So allow Spirit to use nature, use a wind, use rain, use whatever elements are going on in your environment right now to support your vision of what you want for yourself. This is what I'm going to say. Am I making any sense? Okay, I hope so, because I feel a little choppy. Okay, let's go on to our Libras. Thank you, Stephen. I think that Scorpio, I think with Scorpio that they're lots of times because they're so connected, that Pluto energy is really, to me, very intuitive. And sometimes because the focus is on what isn't working, it'll get you caught in a little bit of a loop. And I think that's where Spirit is trying to say, using the elements of nature to move you past the loop of what has been into what can be. Hope that made sense. All right, on to our Libras. Okay, here we go. I would say that Jay, if you have all those nodes and those points, Cirrus, it's influential, but I don't know if would call it a stellium per se. I would absolutely pay attention whenever you have a cluster of something, because a lot of people don't look at the fixed stars, they don't look at the nodes, they don't look at Lilith, but if you have if you have, I guess what I'm trying to say is if you have a concentrated point of anything in your chart, you should pay attention to it because it's a concentrated point. And that means that something important is happening there. Okay, on to Libra. Libra rising. Okay. Our first angel is Rosetta. Our second is Chantal. They just came out in the opposite order. There's Athena. And there's Francesca again. Wow. Okay. Oh, Dove. Yes, Libra. That would be if you're a Libra ascendant and you have a Libra rising. Oh, no, AC. Libra rising and Libra ascendant are the same thing, honey, I think. Did you mean MC? I'm not sure. Okay. Joining Rosetta is the Fire Fairy. Joining Chantal is the Goblin. Joining Athena is the Burden card. And joining Francesca is the Letting Go card. Okay. Oh, it's funny when you use two decks how it changes the whole reading. So Rosetta, again, is about parenting, teaching. It's about a childlike innocence. And then we have the Fire Fairy. I want to say this for my Libras. Well, this is a little challenging. The Goblin and Chantal is a little challenging. Some of you may be re-examining your love lives or your lack of a love life, and you may be feeling a little not good. That's the only way I can put it. The Goblin is not an easy energy. My feelings have been hurt. My ego is bruised in some way. And I want to say this because my Libras, you're the ultimate sign of fairness and partnership. And I feel like you're trying to be fair, and maybe you're not being fair to yourself, because here is Athena saying to lovingly assert yourself. And there's the Burden card in relation to my love life and the Goblin. I want to offer it this way, because obviously not every Libra is in a relationship and not everyone is single, but both ways it can be. If you have not been in a relationship, Spirit is asking you to be creative in your thought and naive in your grown-upness, have the innocence of a child, because Francesca is asking you to visualize on what you want. And then there's that letting go card. And we talked about it earlier. This is about distance from fear. It's about writing my own story. I myself am a Libra sun. I've never been married. I've never had any children. I'm going to be 60 in a few weeks, October 17th, all you guys, so you know. And in that, I guess it's 4 weeks from now, I still believe I have a childlike innocence that there is a person out there that I just haven't met yet, because I was working on other things about me. So I want to offer this for all of you. Don't let age get in your way. Don't let your circumstances get in your way. Don't let your ego get in the way of what you want. Lovingly assert yourself towards that. And I mean that it's not about going out and maybe talking to another human being. It's about talking to Spirit and saying, I'm ready. I'm ready to be in a mutually loving relationship where we both work together to feel supported and to feel that, there's a reason why romantic comedies do so well. They may not get Oscars, but people clamor to them because in our deepest hearts, we want to be able to be vulnerable. We want to be able to feel the excitement of love. And I think sometimes the reason that we hold back in our vulnerability is because when the inner voice says this isn't working, we don't like that. And we want to say, no, everything will be fine. And that's when we suddenly think, oh no, we're being vulnerable to somebody else. But if we really trusted our inner voice, we would feel safer in our love bodies and we wouldn't stay in things that were not working for us. So I want to say this for all my Libras. I feel like this week is an opportunity for you to be creative in your thought about love. And I'm talking about your love bodies. I don't care if you're 95 or 9. I don't care if you've been married 80 times or not married. I feel like there's always an opportunity for spirit to align with us and our deeper truth. And if we go there, spirit will support it. So that's where I want to say. This doesn't feel like anything manifests, by the way, guys. It doesn't feel like you're manifesting love. And I want to say this too. For those of you that have been in a relationship and may have something challenging to communicate to your partner, that's where this would be. I think that it's really, I think what spirit would like you to do is think about how you would receive whatever information you may be giving. So if you're challenged in a situation, try to express yourself in a way that will lovingly assert yourself, but also so that the person does not feel burdened by your communication. So you're owning whatever your story is. So if you're feeling a certain way, it isn't about making them wrong because you're feeling it. It's more about, this is how I feel. And if this happens on a consistent basis, then maybe I need to think about things. That's where I'm going. Okay. All right. Let's go into our Virgos. Jay, being 23 and not being in a legit relationship makes perfect sense to me because the age bracket that you're in is all about exploration and curiosity. So to commit is kind of an interesting concept because you haven't had enough life experience to really commit to something. So I think as we give life to that idea, then take some of the pressure off. Okay. Mars, yes, Mars will be soon leaving Virgo. Okay, here we go. We are on to Virgo now. Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon, Virgo stelliums. And whoever commented on my boo sign in the back, I just want to thank them again because now I see it. It does look kind of cute back there. And you can see my pumpkins too. Do you see them back there? All right, guys, here we go. Virgos. Our first angel is Akasha. Our second is Shanti. The third is Merlina. And the final is Maya. Oh, a lot about schooling there. Okay. Joining Akasha is the spider. Joining Shanti is the joy card. Joining Merlina is the burden card. And joining Maya is the horse. Okay. So I want to say this for my Virgos. Akasha is a spiritual teacher card, and she will talk about you having the ability to counsel others, to awaken their spiritual gifts. And then I have the spider. When I saw this, I felt like it's really more about your personal journey into your spirituality. And now, as you have awoken your spiritual gifts, that they are really going to stick. It's really going to, hold on a second, guys. I need to just take care of a little something here. Thank you. Okay. So what I'm trying to say for my Virgos is that I feel like that there is a spiritual dynamics and spiritual laws that you have started to learn about and implement. And I feel like that they are really starting to show you, I want to say, I feel like you're starting to get it. Like it starts off conceptually when we start to connect with spirit and use spirit as our go-to first, and then we go into our physical action because here's Maya. Maya is a card of schooling and education, and here's the horse. Earlier today, we talked about how the horse totem also represents travel, power, adventure, moving in new directions. And I feel like for my Virgos, learning how to connect with spirit is starting to become real for you. And there you are, asking and receiving from spirit, because in the opportunity, the obstacle is Shanti, the angel of peace, and the joy card. And so as you've been connecting to spirit more, and as you implement this moving forward in this life path, you're going to experience more joy because you're going to feel more. What I feel like is you're going to feel less burdened and confused. I know that in the beginning, it's weird when you start to connect with spirit first and then go into an action. So let me explain what I mean connecting to spirit. Let's say that you're single and you want to start connecting with people and getting into a relationship. My first go-to with spirit is to say, what's the character of that person? How do they show up for me? So I say that to spirit. And then I kind of give myself a moment to let spirit inspire a thought inside of me. And maybe that thought will be to get on the internet and go on a dating site. And then again, I'll connect with spirit and say, okay, so if indeed this person would resonate with me, give me a goosebumps, give me some sort of feeling that will support that. And then you start to build this language back forth, just with jobs. You can do it you can do it with lights. One time, okay, this is gonna be a little crazy story I'm gonna tell you guys. I had gone to the juice bar down the street, and I had to drop something off at what I thought was UPS, and it turned out to be FedEx. And the UPS guy goes, "You need a special guy. You're gonna have to go into town." And I was like, "Oh, I just went into town." So I said to Spirit, "I need a UPS guy, and I need it to be an express guy. Please make one show up." And I'm literally walking down the street and I see a FedEx truck drive by, stop, and go to make a delivery. I paddle my little feet faster and I get down there, and sure enough, it was an express guy, and I just got to hand him my package. It's something that could be that simple, that mundane. You connect with spirit, and then it's like toothpaste. Gets out of the tube, it ain't coming back in. You will trust spirit more and more and more as you connect with them. And then that will be your go-to, and it will help bring in more peace, more tranquility, and it'll start to lift the confusion and the burden. Okay, that's where I'm going. I got a hair hanging somewhere over here. Something's in my face. Okay, on to our Leos. Okay, right, Leo? Yeah? Okay. Okay. Stacy, you have a Virgo sun. You have Mercury, Uranus, Venus, and Pluto all in Virgo? That's a big stellium. Pay attention to that. Okay, here we go. On to Leo. Okay. Our first angel is Isabella. The second is Crystal. The third is Teresa. And the final is Daniel. Oh, all right, let's see. Wow, Stacy, that's interesting. 5 planet stellium all opposing Saturn. So that seems to tell me that, you just have to be the long, steady road is the one where you win. That's how it works. That's how I hear that. Okay. Here we go. Joining Isabella is the Joy card. Joining Crystal is the Cat. Joining Teresa is the Truth card. And joining Daniel is the Focus card. Okay, my Leos. Isabella says, yes, the timing is right for this new venture. A happy outcome follows your positive expectation. And there's the Joy card. This is really just about enjoying yourself, celebrating. And I want to say this, because Daniel is the angel of marriage, and here is the Focus card. So here we go. Once again, this is feeling like relationships to me. Now, I want to say for my Leos, Daniel, the angel of marriage, is not just about bringing you a partner. It's also talking about your history in some respects. He's talking about what's the story you bring into a relationship. If we've been burned because we've been cheated on or lied to, people will tend to brace for that in the next relationship. They'll tend to be a little on guard. They won't realize it at first. At first, they'll be in the excitement of the newness. And then when they start to feel the true vulnerability of starting to fall for somebody is when the pattern will come in. So Daniel is asking my Leos to really look at what is it that your pattern that you're bringing into the relationship, because it's time to start to look at things from a different point of view, from a more joyous point of view, because in the opportunity and or the obstacle is crystal. Have faith and hope, because there's more on the horizon that you can't see. And then the cat right now is 9 lives for me. There is another life for your love life. You're not down and out. And now it's time for you to stop worrying and to go into the truth of the situation. When I say the truth, I want to put it this way. If Leos have gone through a situation where a relationship is no longer viable, then the truth of the situation is it was no longer viable. And so now it's my job to be joyous and saying, well, that's okay. It's all right if this relationship didn't work out, because there's something brighter, something more aligned to what I want. And I know that for those of you that may be married, and I'm going to tell you this too, if you've been in a relationship for 3, 5, 8, 7, 10, 15 years, and you still don't have a ring on your finger, you're married to me. Energetically, you feel married. So I would have to say that the reason I bring that up is because some of you may be saying, well, I'm not married, but you're still in a relationship. So if indeed Leo is ready for a relationship, then I think Spirit is saying it's time for you to be excited about that idea, and then to honestly look at what is a story that you also bring into your new potentials. Because if you're trying to move into a new story while you're still telling yourself an old story, they won't mesh. And Spirit is not emotional, really. I think that Spirit feels emotion through our physical bodies. And that's part of why we incarnate. But that's a side note. But what I do think is that Spirit responds to our loudest and deepest thought. So the loudest and deepest thought for a person who's been burned in relationships is that they've been burned in relationships. So if you can connect to that, then you can start to neutralize that. And if you neutralize that, then Spirit can start to move in and align you with somebody who is more in sync with what it is that you want to experience. Hope that made sense. Okay, on to our Cancers. I don't know about anybody else, but I had the most fun full moon. I feel like this full moon was such a celebratory moon. I didn't even expect it to be that way, but it just turned out to be so much fun. So I hope you all are enjoying that as well. Okay, on to Cancer now. Okay, our first angel is Opal. Our second is Athena. Our third is Archangel Raphael. And our final is Archangel Gabriel. I was happy emotional, Stephen. I was like in such a good mood. I didn't expect it with all the squares they were talking about. I thought it could be kind of a hard day, but it wasn't. It was really a good day. Okay, so joining Opal is the birth and the rebirth card. Joining Athena is the novice. Joining Archangel Raphael is the death card. And then joining Archangel Gabriel is the risk card. Okay, so for my Cancers, this is very interesting to me because we have Opal, who talks about our children on heaven and earth are safe and well cared for by God and the angels. And then we have the birth and the rebirth card. When I look at this, now I know that not every Cancer is ready to have children or ready to birth little beings, but I saw it as that. I saw it as that potentially you've had challenges with that dynamic. And now it's time to start to think from a bigger perspective. We have Athena saying it's to lovingly assert yourself. And then there's the novice, skill without practice, new beginnings. I kind of think of this as riding a bicycle. When you first learn, you're all wobbly like this. I feel like what's going on is, if indeed you've had challenges, if there's been miscarriages, or there have been thwarted attempts at adoption, even if you were trying to adopt and then it didn't work out, it's time to start to really turn this over to spirit in a bigger way, because Archangel Raphael and the Death card are here offering transformation and a new beginning as you lovingly assert yourself. I believe that all souls, whether they are natural born or come through another source, have connections. When we adopt a baby, that baby is our baby. It is not just because the DNA doesn't match up doesn't mean that the soul DNA doesn't match up. So I want you to think about that, Cancer. I want you to think in a bigger picture about your families and about the people in your families, because that's what this feels like to me. It feels like either reconnecting with children that are already on the earth, or in the want of children to come into the earth through you. It's about think about this, okay? If you've been wanting to have children, or you've been having challenges with your children, it's all this conjunction. Maybe the children, every time I hear somebody's been born right now, like that girl from Flip or Flop, Christina, I think her new name is Ansel. She just had a baby in September, and I'm thinking, wow, so that baby is born with Pluto and Saturn so close to each other. I wonder how that's going to affect that baby's life path. So this where I'm going, that if for some reason you've had challenges with your children, either bringing them into the world or actually dealing with them in the world, it could be very much as a part of this conjunction. So if you broaden your focus, and you risk having, this is Archangel Gabriel, giving up my insecurities, giving them to her, and risking a bigger thought, that maybe there's something about children being reborn, relationships with children being reborn, even if they're your stepchildren or your grandchildren. I don't think it necessarily has to be a DNA situation. I think it could, or a direct relationship like mother and son or father and daughter. But it definitely feels like it has to do for Cancers this week. And I want to say this, for those of you that are 20 something and never ever, don't have children on your radar at all, then this Opal is going to talk about your dreams for yourself. Opal is going to talk about the childhood wants and desires, and that there is an opportunity for them to be rebirthed, but you're going to have to risk a bigger story of what you're telling yourself. Because if you're concentrating on this story that nothing's working, that's not going to help. It's time to lovingly assert yourself into a bigger story. And in doing so, there is a healing to be had and a transformation. Okay. Now we're going on to our Geminis. I go backwards, everybody. If you're new to my show, I go backwards. I just started doing it, and now it seems to have stuck. So every week we start with Pisces and end with Aries. And we're going on to Gemini now. Gosia, I'm going to say, I think that's how you say it. Having Saturn turn direct on your Saturn return. If it's your first Saturn return, it may feel a little jarring, but I just been going through my second Saturn return, and I have to tell you, I've enjoyed it. There's some parts of it I haven't enjoyed, but for the most part, I have enjoyed it, because I really believe that Saturn rewards those that stick it out, that don't give up. It's really a long-term thinker. So when you play by the rules with Saturn rewards big time. Okay, here we go, Gemini. Woo! Okay. Our first angel is Athena. Our second is Rosetta. Our third is Bethany. And our final is Astera. Your second Saturn return probably won't happen until you're like in your late 50s or early 60s. Because it takes 29 years for Saturn to go around the whole zodiac. So that's like 58 to 60, depending upon your degree. Okay. Stacey, I want to offer you this. When you say you're working on moving toward your female side lately, I would like to offer it this way. Why don't you invite it in? You know, female energy is invitation. It's inviting in. It's receptive energy. It is masculine energy moves out. So allow yourself to receive your feminine side. Allow yourself to receive the feminine dynamics within you and see how that shifts things just a little bit. Okay. Joining Athena for our Geminis is the Letting Go card. Joining Rosetta is the Risk card. Joining Bethany is the Horse. And joining Astera is the Swan. That's beautiful. Okay, so you guys are going to hear me say it a million times. The Letting Go card is never about letting anything go. I don't even have that chip in my body. I can't let anything go. Once it happens to me, it's there. I remember it, and I note it. So it's become something different. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. Athena, it's time to assert myself, to lovingly assert myself. What does it say in the song Letting Go? It's time to see what I can do to test the limits, to break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free. This is for Gemini, okay? I want to feel free. I'm ready to feel free. I'm ready to move forward in my life the way I want it to look. And then here we go. In our opportunity and or our obstacle, we have the Risk card and we have Rosetta. This is really more about the childlike. Children walk around with tutus on and capes. They believe in magic and superheroes and that people are good by nature. This is exactly what this is about for Gemini. It's about risking a bigger picture of what you want, because here it is. Bethany is saying this is about self-care and this is trusting your intuitions at this point. This is not following fear, but what is most authentic to you, Gemini. And then here, this is all the transformation. Here's the Swan going from the ugly duckling to the Swan. And Astera says to reach for the stars with your dreams and your desires and don't compromise. This is really, here we go. In your foundational position, as you lovingly assert yourself towards what it is you want, you will see transformation that you could never have imagined. So I want to offer this idea. Guys, when I had my last job, and I didn't know it was going to be my last job, I worked there for 3 years. And at first, I was a dutiful employee. I did everything they told me to when I was supposed to do it. I came in on the days they told me they wanted me to, even if they were my days off. And then after about 1.5 years, I got a little sick of that. I'm like, you know what? I have clients I want to see. I'm building a business. I'm building a practice. And they didn't really take much into, they didn't really care about that. And I started to care a lot about it. I started to assert myself and say, no, you know what? I can't really do that. I'm sorry. I'm busy. I have plans already. And as I started to assert myself, I could feel the winds of change. I started to get busier and busier with my clients. And then I jumped. I didn't do it smart, so don't listen to me, because I was a little kooky when I did it. But then it started to stick and the transformation happened. And now I've worked for myself for 6 years. And I get to choose when I wake up in the morning, and I get to choose how I spend my day. I truly get to travel the roads and the freedom that the Horse offers. So that's what I want to say for my Geminis this week. It's about really thinking about, where do I want to be? Where do I want to go? How do I get there? I don't need to know that right now. I just need to let Spirit know how it feels when I get there. And then the wheels will start and someone will call, and somebody will book an appointment, or somebody will have a referral, or somebody will do, and you'll start to see the evidence. But part of it is your willingness to be completely authentic with what it is you want and to lovingly assert yourself towards that. And again, I want to say, when I'm lovingly asserting myself, it's never walking up to Bob and saying, I want this. That's not it at all. It's about going to Spirit and saying, I'm not kidding. This is what I want to live. This is what I want to experience right now. Let's go. Okay, on to Taurus. Yep, we're on to Taurus now. I'm going to say Arzu? Okay. Oops. What am I doing? I got to pay attention. Okay. So I think we have a Taurus moon. The moon's moving into Taurus, I think, today, if I remember correctly. All right. Here we go. Now this is my last, my Taurus moon and my Aries rising. Here we go. All right. Our first angel is Maya. The second is Indriel. The third is Crystal. And the final is Athena. Athena's got a lot to say today. All right. And I can't help but mention that, Uranus is heading, it's in those first few degrees retrograde in Taurus. So again, we have more about freedom, more about expression, more things for our Tauruses to be authentic about within themselves. All right. Maya is being joined by the Bee card. Indriel is joined by the Love card. Crystal is joined by the Perception card. And Athena is joined by the Restriction card. Okay. All right. So Maya talks about schooling and education. And this is always my energetic education. It's never, to me, yes, they could be university. Absolutely. But I don't really see it that way, because for me, everything starts with business and good luck. But my being energy is, what do I believe? What is my disposition? What am I standing on as I move forward? Because what I think for my Tauruses is there's a bit of an education happening for your being energy. Taurus can be a little stubborn. I know I can be a little stubborn when my feelings have been hurt and somebody is cheesy about their apology. I don't really, doesn't really land on me. So I want something authentic and real. And so what I feel is that for some reason this week, and I'm jumping to the fourth position, we have Athena saying to lovingly assert yourself. And then there's the Restriction card. Sounds like a little contrary, right? Contradictory. But I think what it's about is your being energy. I think what Spirit is saying is wait until you get into the space of lovingly asserting yourself so that you can see how your being energy shifts the dynamic when you're expressing yourself. Because in the opportunity or the obstacle is the Love card and Indriel, the light worker. This is really about shining a loving light. So let's say you're annoyed with someone that you actually like. Let's say that you're whoever, I don't care who it is. And you know that this person is not intentionally being annoying or intentionally trying to bug you or hurt you, but they're still bugging you. So this is about lovingly asserting yourself towards what you want, because in the angel's advice, I have the Perception card and I have Crystal saying have faith and hope, because there's more on the horizon you can't see. This is where I'm going with my Tauruses. If you take a moment to think about how you're showing up this week and expressing yourself, you could find that it actually works out way better than you anticipated, because you were aware of your being energy before you went into this situation. So you didn't kind of get mad and blow up. That's kind of how I want to put it. Or get annoyed and blow up. So it could be with a coworker that, is well-meaning but annoying nonetheless, or it could be with, your mom or anybody. I feel like this absolutely has to do with relationships. It absolutely has to do with relationships I'm familiar with, that I have a certain pattern with, and that the opportunity for Taurus rising, Taurus moon, Taurus sun, Taurus stelliums is to pay attention to your own being energy, and in doing so, being able to see how that actually shifts the outcome of the situation to a more favorable place. Okay. All right. That's what I have to say for Taurus. Let's go on to our Aries final sign. Here we go. It's funny, guys, as I've been studying more and more astrology, I almost never check my sun sign anymore. I always check my moon and my rising. I don't know why. It's like I've divorced my Libra. I don't mean to. I like Libra, but yeah. Good morning, Love Breathes. Welcome. Sorry about that. Yeah, guys, when there's words in other languages that we don't know what they are, we kind of have to take them out just for the safety. Okay. We are starting on our final sign, Aries. Okay. Our first angel is Francesca. The second is Xana. The third is Rosetta. And the final is Oceana. Awesome. Okay. Joining Francesca is the Joy card. Joining Xana is the Wind Fairy. Joining Rosetta is the Movement card. And joining Oceana is the Fear card. Okay. This is interesting to me because as I look at it, I actually felt, the first thing I felt was that Aries is going to overcome some fears this week and actually feel empowered by that. So here's the Joy card, and here is Francesca saying, what do you visualize right now? Focus on that. Focus in on what you want, not the obstacles, because this is where I feel like you're going to overcome fears this week. Because here, Oceana is saying to take action. You're lovingly and true in touch with your truth. And for some reason, this fear card feels like I'm actually being empowered by fear this week. And I think the reason I'm going there is because Xana, in the opportunity of the obstacle, is saying that I'm being protected from all types of harm. And then there is the Wind Fairy. Excuse me. Let me get a little water. What I think for Aries is that you may be protected from your own thoughts, and your own thoughts, as you don't take action on those thoughts, as you wait. Because this is funny, because the Movement card in Rosetta is in the Angel's Advice, but I don't think it's about movement as much as it feels like it's movement to a childlike innocence in some ways. And in doing that, I'm protected from my grown-up thoughts. Let's just say this. Okay. Every once in a while, we will get into a situation and, we'll think that somebody's a bad guy. We'll label them a bad guy, bad person, bad situation. And maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know the particulars. But I feel like for this week, my Aries, ruled by Mars is a warrior. Rather than taking action and warring this week, I think you're actually proud of yourself because you don't. Because you actually don't operate on some sort of patterned fear, mistrust, or experience that you've had with someone that is not authentic to maybe a full picture of things. That's where I want to say. I have this challenge going on with an entity, and there are people in that entity that I have labeled the bad guys because they're rude. They're rude. They're dismissive. They're like, we're better than you kind of people. And I'm pretty sure don't walk around their whole world like that. And so I have to fight all the time when I see these people on the street to not engage in that thought process, because that is how I'm being protected, is by trying to remember that they're not 100% the bad guy. I don't know where they're the good guy in their world, but they're not, because they're not a good guy in my world. But by remembering that, I'm able to overcome some interior battles, I guess is the way I want to put it. It's helping me to stand in more joy and making me feel a little bit safer about the road ahead and about my own ability to emote anger constructively. Because that's what I feel like this week is really about. Aries rising, moon, and sun concentrating on where they want to go, not how they're going to get there, to let whatever trepidations you have work towards you. Because this is, to me, guys, the biggest road to empowerment, the biggest tail wag, the most exciting thing in the world for me is when I've walked through a fear that I didn't know. When I started my work, I didn't know if I was going to be able to pay my bills. I didn't know if people would book. I didn't know if I would, but I just kept kind of moving forward methodically. I watched my being energy. I let fear work for me. So that's what I want to say. I feel like for this week, it's about Aries taking a moment to really see the long road, see the end game, allowing yourself to focus on the end game. So whatever fears are in the short game will be the things that empower you to move forward. Because when we walk through a fear, or we walk through something that we didn't think that we could accomplish, it is an amazing exhilaration. And we remember that the next time we get to that same fork in the road, that same unknowing place. So that's what I want to say for this week. That's for Aries. Again, we had the number 19 was a bust. We did not have a winner with 19. So please put your numbers in the comments and in the chat. Between 2 and 500 to win a half-hour free reading. We haven't had a winner in a while. And again, our animal totem this week is horse. So I really want you to think about the dynamics of driving, plowing new fields, plowing new directions, allowing yourself the idea of travel, of expansion in many ways, because you're expanding your horizons, and to also think of how the horse is an intuitive animal. It doesn't follow fear. So I'll leave you all with that. And in the meantime, I'll be back next week with more messages from your angels. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I'll be sending lots of love and good blessings and tidings to you all. And we'll see you next Sunday. Namaste.